What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined as always by my dad Sean, and today reactions to the classics. We're going to be reviewing some Blue Rodeo. We've done a triple shot reaction for them before.
Enjoyed that a lot.
And we're going to be looking at their record 5 Days in July. This suggestion comes courtesy of our longtime patron and supporter and friend of the channel, B-Mac. B-Mac always bringing us some of the greatest artists up in Canada, man. Brought us Tragically Hip earlier this year. Sloan. Dove into some Joni Mitchell, which was fun as well. So shout out to B-Mac on that one. And before we get into the quick facts of this record, though, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Hit that big red subscribe button. We upload every single day. And if you'd like to have us maybe do a album review, song reaction, help us support the channel, you can check out our Patreon page and be a patron like Bruce down below. Shout out to the patrons who help keep this channel running, man. And all that to say, Dad, I guess we can dive into the quick facts of this record.
Yeah, let me give one other little quick thing. We do live streams every Friday night, 6 p.m. Central Time and 1 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday on Twitch. Check that out below. We have a really great time just hanging out, talking music, listening to music. This was Blue Rodeo's 5th studio album, released in October of '93 in Canada, not till September of '94 in the US. It's their most commercially successful album. They said it was more a Neil Young Harvest era type tribute. Now, you mentioned B-Mac brought this to us. He's very well versed in them, obviously. That's why he brought them to us. So here's what he had to say about this album. It's a stunning album with not one weak track on it. Starts out with 4 brilliantly, strongly written and performed songs in a row. Sarah McLachlan is in her own right a great singer-songwriter. Adds her majestic vocals to 3 great Keelor tracks. He hasn't even waxed on about the great songs English Bay and Head Over Heels. This album's jam-packed musically, lyrically, and just a fun album. I'm not comparing Keelor and Cuddy to the greatness of Lennon and McCartney, but what I love about Blue Rodeo is they have 2 very strong songwriters that have their own distinct style and sound, but also complement each other and strengthen their output combined with great vocals that work so well together. So that's a really good point, because having 2 strong songwriters that write a little bit differently and sing a little bit differently helps keep variety on your album.
Oh, and you do notice that on this record, and especially I love the harmonies that are found within the record, not only with Jim and Greg together, but also when Sarah is brought in. It adds a beautiful touch to the album. Many consider this Blue Rodeo's best record and the start of a trilogy of fantastic albums where they kind of experiment, stretch their creative legs, so to speak. But this is the one that a lot of critics and even fans kind of point to as the benchmark for what all their other work is judged by. And Daniel Lanois, famous producer, worked with everybody from U2 to Bob Dylan. He suggested to them that they not be confined to a recording studio and instead, just kind of go someplace different. Maybe that would help spark some stuff. So where did they go? They went to Greg Keelor's farm, and that's where they recorded all these tracks, man. And kind of interesting, they went with, they were going in, they had an idea that these were just going to be demos. Yep. And then they were like, man, this is pretty darn good. Let's
we'll just throw it out there and roll with it. So that's kind of what they did. And I guess we can jump into this thing. Everything's written Greg and Jim, unless we note otherwise. And we'll get to the first song. Now, the album's called 5 Days in July. The first song's called 5 Days in May.
Yeah, a little left turn there. I had to do a double take.
I did too.
Was like, oh yeah, that's right. This thing's called...
It's not the title track. It's... close though.
And we start off with a longer tune here. Clocks in at over 7 minutes.
Yeah, Jim said it was inspired by his sound engineer's practice of writing his wife's name in the sand whenever he finds himself on a beach. Cuddy noticed the engineer doing so while the band was on tour in New Zealand and was inspired to write the lyrics combining this story with the story of how Jim met his own wife. Piano and drums are fantastic, great instrumentation, nice guitar outro. Trey, this is a good way to start this thing.
Yeah, that ending guitar, I think, was my favorite part of the song. Just very explosive, and starting off, I think the rhythm section was a highlight. I got a shout out to Basil Donovan and his bass line in there as well. I think a lot of this record, just thematically, lyrically, deals with relationships in general, and just different aspects of relationships, then breaking up, you being apart, you being together. So that kind of starts in motion what we're going to have throughout here. I enjoy the lyric, but I know my past, you were there. In everything I've done, you are the one. So it really gets the heart of that romantic connection and the feelings that can bring up in somebody. So I thought this was a great way to start the record. Very, very strong song, and it didn't really feel like a 7-minute long tune. And that transitions us to what may be my favorite track on this record.
It's mine too. Now, this was on the triple shot that we did, so we'd heard this song one time. So I don't know if that was influencing me. I'd only ever heard it once, but hasn't hit me yet. And Greg said, at the end of a relationship, when you find yourself alone, there's a sort of pain and despair that goes along with it, but there's also a sort of pleasantness about it. Whatever it is, the return of solitude, which can be quite joyful at times. I was walking around Port Hope, at about 3/4 of the song finished, and the snow started to fall, and we got this sort of shared Canadian experience of watching snow fall through and by a street light, and there's a certain calm and connectedness that goes along with it, feeling connected and just thinking about the same snow falling out in the middle of Lake Ontario, which kind of is a shout out to some of the lyrics in there. On the first verse, he's like, he can't believe that it's over, but then he kind of like, it all seems familiar to him. So I guess that's happened to him at times, and just an interesting way for him to explain of like, you're in a relationship, and being in a relationship is great, but when it's over, there are certain aspects of it that are positive because you can kind of do
what you want.
I kind of do whatever I want, and no one's hanging it over me.
Well, I think this already points to how awesome it is when you have two very strong songwriters in here, because you have Jim starting off bringing a more positive light to relationships, and then here Greg comes in, goes in a different direction, showing some of that heartache that might come. The harmonies here by Jim and Greg are just so fantastic. They mix so well, their voices and registers with each other throughout this whole record, but they might peak on this song.
It might.
And again, instrumentation very tight. It had a bit of a twangy guitar lick to give it a bit of that country feel. That's again the sound that kind of permeates this entire record, man. So maybe my favorite track on here, and I just really love Greg's voice on this whole record.
I do too, and I think we're going to go on to the next song, Bad Timing. It's a little over 5 minutes long. This album's pretty long. It clocks in at almost an hour long. So a lot of these songs are going to be longer. I will say before we go on with talking about that, there's going to be a predominant theme on this album of this great musicianship.
Oh, yeah.
Like these guys are
very
professional musicians, man. And everybody puts out all these albums, right? But it doesn't mean they're actually professional musicians. These guys are great instrumentation, great harmonies, as you talked about. Every song you can tell is done by a professional. That little aside, we'll get back into Bad Timing, which Jim said is about meeting somebody at the wrong time and not being able to honor the possibility that's presented, because keeping moving is more important than stopping and developing a relationship. It has a really nice piano solo. You can tell this one's very country. Basically, the song, he calls her and says, "So sorry I haven't called you. I know you wouldn't have done the same to me, but the timing just did not work out, hence Bad Time."
No, a bit slower on the instrumentation on this one, as you already mentioned, Dad, a bit more of a country flavor. And, I'm already liking, first song, 5 Days in May, we had talking about the positives of a long-standing relationship. Then we go Hasn't Hit Me Yet, where that's broken off. And here, it never had a chance to start, which is sometimes what happens, and I think reflects how special, true love can be, because you just got your points got to mesh at just the right time in life.
Right time, place, career, all of it.
And sometimes, man, the timing just doesn't work out, and he really just is honest about that, which is something I appreciated. I sometimes you like your songs to have a happy ending, but a lot of times I like honesty. I like the real world. What's going to happen,
doesn't all
man?
End up great.
Moves us to Cynthia, which is our number 4 track.
Greg said another one we did on the farm. Sarah McLachlan and Bourne are singing on that recording, and it's about this woman that I met in Minneapolis. She took me on a tour of the city and sort of told me her story. In the lyrics, he asked her to Pyramid Lake. They'll put up a tent, and maybe the spaceships will come and take us. So a little abstract here. Also very country sound. I think a lot of steel guitar on here. That's what I'm hearing. So not a bad track. Good story. Interesting story.
You got that kind of country rock blend in here. I thought James Gray put forth one of his better piano solos on this one. He's a very talented guy in his own right. Keelor here sounds a little Tom Petty-like on this one. And certain points of the album he does, not like a Petty clone or anything, but I could just... just tell a little similarities in there. So definitely kind of had that, we mentioned at the start, this almost had like a campfire atmosphere to it. You could feel that on this track quite a bit as well. And though not as dense lyrically as the previous three tunes, it still was a catchy, fun song, man.
And that takes us to track number 5, Photograph. The title comes from the refrain, one day love just hits you with a flash, leaves you staring blindly like some photograph. And the story of the song is he meets this girl, he's walking along, he meets this girl, and she kind of just tells him, hey, look, I had all my stuff, I'm new in town, I had all my stuff stolen. All I have is this camera. It's kind of love at first sight for him. It's we find out later it's manipulation at first sight. For her, he wakes up the next morning, so obviously they had a night together, and all his stuff is gone.
It's out of there, man.
It's
gone.
This
was one of my favorite stories on the record.
Because he says he'd do it again.
Yeah, he would, man. It again just shows how we all chase that love, and even if we get burned by it, man, maybe the love itself was worth getting burned. We have a line in here: all the time I was falling, you kept on stalling, sizing up how big a fool I was. And again, this is backed by some killer guitar work. Again, I think that maybe that steel pedal guitar comes in very strongly on this one. So a really good track in its own right on this one.
Yeah, now we come to my favorite track on the album, track number 6, What Is This Love? Features Sarah McLachlan on this one, and I think it's much more chilled, much slower. Sarah comes in on those harmonies, which is great. He asks a series of questions throughout. Apparently he has blown it and is asking how he could have done it in various ways. Or I think he could also be asking, another interpretation of it is, why he doesn't love her like he knows he should.
No.
I don't know which part of it's right. That's just kind of what I took out of the lyrics.
No, man. This is just, as you mentioned, an awesome track. I really love the intro instrumentation where we kind of slowly add, I believe we got a violin up in there, and then Sarah's voice, adding a female voice to the song that has this type of subject matter about a rocky relationship, just adds some sincerity.
She comes in at just the right time every time. It's so well put together.
Yeah, and I just think no matter who you are, what style of music you like, this one might elicit an emotional response, just because I think it can resonate in a very accessible tune, very heartfelt, and the listener can tell that as they're going and listening to the track, man. So very strong one. Shout out to Sarah on this one.
For sure. Next up is English Bay, and basically he's alone in a hotel room. He can hear the waves crashing on English Bay. He's 1,500 miles away from her. And it's just about his long night thinking about it. Now, what we don't know really, Trey, is whether he's still with her and he's just away because he's in a hotel room, or whether they're not together anymore. But it's irrelevant either way. He's just lamenting the fact all night of how much he misses her.
Yeah, I know B-Max, a fan of this track. I gotta go the other direction, man. Don't hate on me too much, y'all. I wasn't a fan of this one.
I wasn't either. But you know what? There's a difference, too, because B-Max heard these things a million times. And so we listen to this a ton of times before we review an album, but you still don't have the
the years of appreciation.
Yeah, you go back and listen to it. Oh yeah, you know what? That's really good. The familiarity.
And you got some heavier country influence in here with the banjo, harmonica makes an appearance. I just thought that previous tracks like Bad Timing and Photograph dealt with the kind of I Wish You Were Here theme better than this one. But hey man, that's just a more personal musical taste. You might listen to this track and love it.
Yeah. That's going to take us to Head Over Heels, which has some mild chart success. Basically, he's away from her, feels bad about it. I think they're still together, but a little hard to tell, as he does say, you let me down easily, but also says he knows one night together won't make up for 10 apart.
Yeah, I like the line, I've been torn apart, put back together with a couple of pieces in wrong.
I think it's pretty good. The instrumentation is top notch.
Well, they add a little organ action in there, which helped this one stand out some.
I think so too. It differentiated it, definitely.
I think Jim's voice works well with more up-tempo numbers. Again, Keelor comes in for some fantastic harmonizing, which that's maybe my favorite portions of the record is when Jim and Greg harmonize together. Man, it's a beautiful sound. And then now we're going to go to a cover.
From Rodney Crowell, the only song they did not write, Till I Gain Control Again. It was originally recorded by Emmylou Harris in '75, most known by the #1 single version recorded by the great Crystal Gayle.Blue Rodeo peaked at number 24 with this. Basically, he's hoping she can hold him and be there for him until he gains control again. It's very chilled. it fits the voice quite nicely.
No, again, as you would expect, very, very tight instrumentally. Again, enjoyed the Jim and Greg harmonies up in here. Towards the bottom of the barrel for me on this record, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked some of these other tracks. I thought that they, had a better stuff to say on the subject matter, and I mean they didn't even write the song, so I'm not going to
exactly.
not going to hold it against them, man. I can see why they released it as a single since it had that kind of recognition. We go next to one of my favorite tunes. We have Dark Angel, Sarah McLachlan coming in again.
Yeah, and Greg just said basically I already had the song written, he just wasn't feeling it, and Sarah had come in obviously to do the other songs, and she was sitting there playing on the piano, warming up, and he heard her singing this because he had it there, and he's like, you know what, that works, so let's lay it down this way, and then it kind of made sense. So this song is incredibly slow.
Yeah, no, a big left turn just sonically from really the country sound that permeates the rest of the album. So I thought that was a good way and a good spot in the track listing too. Gave a little something different, and again I think showcases Greg's versatility as a vocalist. He's able to mesh well with a softer instrumentation.
Yeah, because it's all about the vocals and the lyrics we're going to dial it back, and I thought once again Sarah came in at just the right times to add just the emotional punch to it, because sometimes when you have the harmonies come in on an artist's album, like it's fine, it sounds better, but it doesn't have like an artistic punch to it, not an emphasis to it. And they do a really good job of having her come in at just the right moment.
No, and on this one too, I kind of like the mystique and intrigue. Who is the Dark Angel? You can kind of...
Yeah, is she real? Is she not?
You can go with kind of whatever interpretation you want to, which again is something I appreciate in songwriting. So very strong tune here. And then we end with kind of a bit of a medley that's one song, just listed, but kind of 2 in 1. We got Know Where You Go / Tell Me Your Dream, clocking in at a little over 9 minutes.
Yeah, pretty long. Sarah comes in on the second part, but the first one, Know Where You Go, he loves how she takes him right where he needs to go in their relationship. Then when you go into Tell Me Your Dream with Sarah, he's totally happy with her as they sit there. He asks her to tell him all her pain, sorrows, pleasures at the end of the song, so he wants to know about her. Starts acoustic, no vocals the first minute 20. For me, I just wasn't a fan of this song. It just drug on too long for me. I mean, it's not bad. I appreciate it musically for what it is.
No, I think I liked it a little more than you. The Know Where You Go portion, I kind of thought that Keelor sounded a little bit like Roger Waters, actually. I don't know. You Blue Rodeo fans, let me know if I'm on the right track or if you hear that as well, man. A lot of long, like more drawn out guitar notes, kind of get lost in the music as this guy's kind of lost in his love. Then we have some transitional chimes and wailing by Sarah, and then the Tell Me Your Dream had almost like a hymnal-like quality on there, almost hit the tri-harmonies. I believe Jim and Greg and Sarah were all harmonizing on that portion, which was really cool. And
now you're making me feel bad for saying I don't like the song. It's got all this great stuff down
Well, no, I mean, sometimes songs just don't hit, man. I'm sure you're not the only one, but I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a good way to kind of wrap up this record off.
Yeah, and that's going to take us to our favorite tracks. For me, it's What Is This Love? And then my favorite is, well, I mean, we alluded to it earlier, the second track, Hasn't Hit Me Yet. What about you?
I'm going to go Hasn't Hit Me Yet. I'm also going to say What Is Your Love? And then I'm going to go with actually the opener and give Jim some love with 5 Days in May. I thought that story was pretty darn cool as well. Dark Angel was really strong in its own right, which will now take us to our overall score of this record.
Yeah, well, I said it before the third track, Bad Timing, but I'll say it again. This record is just so well done professionally. Now, I'm not talking about like studio tricks. I'm talking about these guys.
They can play, man.
They can play. They can write. There's no weak sauce on lyrics on any of these songs. And for that, I think there's a couple things for me. It's a little long for me. I mean, that's fine. Like your mileage will vary, as you like to say, Trey. It's just a little long. I would have cut off a couple songs. I don't really have any two in particular I would have cut off. And they're all fine tracks. But really good listen. Listen to it several times. Like their sound. For me, I'm going to be at a 7.5.
Now, I'm going to be right in that same ballpark as you, Dad. Echo a lot of your thoughts. Again, kind of what I was saying throughout the review. I think sonically it sounded really strong with that country and then kind of rock, being able to blend that, throw in the piano instrumentation. James Gray was fantastic throughout this whole record. Thought the guitar playing was really solid, and of course the harmonizing by Jim and Greg whenever they did that, and just by themselves, on top of being really strong songwriters and lyricists. So I'm going to be at a strong 7.75 for me on this record, man. Definitely, if you never heard Blue Rodeo, I think this is a good way to kind of get in with their music, man.
I agree. You're going to find some tracks you like for sure.
Worth giving it a spin, man, for sure. So want to shout out B-Mac again for bringing this to us, showcasing some of these bands up north from us here in the States, man, that are just so tight and make you wonder, man, why did these guys not have bigger success here in the States? We're behind the ball again. But Dad, appreciate the research you do as always, and of course let us know what you think of this record. Your favorite track is down in the comment section below. Until next time, y'all, thanks for watching, happy listening, and we will see ya.